Hey, Speak Easy podcast listeners. It is your host, Altovise, your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. And this particular episode is a part of our series, Life After COVID. I'm excited about this one. If you can't hear it in my voice, I'm excited probably about most of the interviews. The ones that don't, make me have to change. But I'm excited about this particular interview because I love being able to see people win and see people be successful in the midst of difficult situations. We know that over the past year, there have been so many changes, updates, insights, switches. Oh my goodness, it's been pandemonium if you've paid attention to social media or just media. But it didn't mean that you had to stop, and it didn't mean that you could not be successful. So I'm excited about my guest today who has a CD that just came out, and you'll want to go and check that out. He'll tell you more about it. But Robert, hey, hi, how are you?
Hello, Altovise. How are you doing there?
I'm doing great. Robert, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive into this topic because I really think your story is going to resonate with a lot of our listeners.
Sure, be happy to. Well, I'm a musician first and foremost. And I guess my story, which makes it so different, is that I didn't go into music full time until I was in my early 60s. And guess what? I became a rock star. So I guess I'm living proof that you're never too old and it's never too late to follow your dream. And that was always my dream.
Absolutely. I love it. So with that being said, of course, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this episode, because there is often this stigma that, listen, if I missed an opportunity, if I didn't do it last year or the year before, especially with everything that happened in 2020, then I can't get started. And so, Robert, what really made you say, you know what? I don't care what happened before. I'm going to get started today.
Well, Altavis, I think everybody has a dream. We all start off with dreams in life. And when we're younger, particularly when we're in our teenage years, they're probably big dreams. You know, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nuclear scientist. I want to be a baseball player. I want to be a musician, things like that. My dream when I was young was I wanted to be a professional musician, full-time rock star on the stage with the Rolling Stones, etc. But like a lot of people, my dream got delayed and deferred. Why? Life gets in the way. That's just the way things go. So I was married, I had a family, I had a job, I had obligations, and all of a sudden I couldn't just do what I wanted to do. It took me a long time. Finally, when I got to be in my early 60s, I said to myself, what am I waiting for? How much longer do I have to make this decision? That was my kick in the rear. And that was only 5 years ago. And in 5 years, I'm pleased to say I've got 9 albums, including a Billboard #1. I've got over 4 million video views, over 1 million Spotify streams. I've got over 50,000 Facebook fans. I'm living La Vida Loca. So I am proof positive that, again, you're never too old, you're never too late. Following your dream, in my opinion, makes you joyful and happy, something that a lot of people just don't have in their lives. And the dream can be any number of things. It doesn't have to be music. It can be taking up a hobby. It can be opening up a new business, a store, whatever it is, you know inside of you what makes you tick and what really makes you think about what you want to do. The last thing I think anybody wants to do is look back on their life and say, oh, I wish I had tried it. And so I'm here today to say that even during a pandemic, you can make your life that much better by following your dream.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love that, because being able to not just see you be successful in such a great way, but also to be able to see that in a short amount of time, that success has been, bigger than what some other people have seen in decades of being in the music industry. Like that is absolute, like that would motivate anybody to get started. Because listen, we know the time, we know what is going on behind the scenes when it comes to there the startup in the music industry and doing the little clubs or doing the little shows and all of that stuff to gain traction. It's really it's about the consistency.
Well, you're 100% right. And I've been there and done that exactly as you said. Nobody starts out at the top. You start out at the bottom. And I was going into an area that is, completely youth oriented. I mean, I did it totally backwards. Everybody becomes a star if they're going to become a star when they're in their teens or their 20s. And here I was decades later. So I was completely backwards. But I decided I had a plan. And I think that that's part of living your dream. You have to have an action plan. You have to kind of figure out what's my steps in order to achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve. And I had that kind of a plan. But nonetheless, it's one step forward, it's two steps back, it's three steps sideways. There is no plan, there is no dream that is a straight line. And you have to accept that. And again, to me, the goal of all of this is not to become a mammoth success, where you're selling zillions of albums or whatever it is that your dream is. The goal is to satisfy that inner burning desire that you have to do whatever it is that was your dream. And I can honestly say that just the fact of going after it, taking the step, giving it a shot, that's the goal. And that's where you get the happiness and the joy.
Oh my goodness, I love it. And then on top of all of that, Speak Easy podcast listeners, he put together a new album in the midst of COVID, in a time where people were kind of like, it felt like double dutch when it came to, should we go outside? Should we not go outside? Should we should we fist bump? Should we arm elbow pump? What should we do when we see people? He said, you know what? I'm not allowing this to stop me. So what did that process look like for you during COVID?
Well, you're 100% correct. We had, very fortunately, my band, Project Grand Slam, had finished an album literally a week or two before the world closed down. And we were getting ready to kind of go out on the road. We had festivals booked. We had a European tour that was in the works. And of course, the world shut down. So the question then became, well, what are we going to do? And I said to myself, okay, the first thing that I think we can do is we can put out videos of some of the songs. And we did that for 4 of the songs. The first 2 were kind of those Zoom type videos where, everybody is in a separate little box and we're all lip syncing and lip playing to the song, but it went over really well. Then we got more creative with the next 2. And we did one that was an animated video, and we did one that was kind of like a spaghetti Western type of video. And in total, these things went over really well. And, we probably got about 1 million views in total for all 4 of these. But then I said, what I really do, I write music and I record music. And the question then became, well, what am I going to do during this pandemic? We can't rehearse together. We can't play together. But I said, I can still go about the process of, writing my music. And I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. This is what I began recording my music on. Okay? My iPhone. This is not a plug for iPhones or for Apple, but it's just the real answer. I started recording on my phone, and I would send my music to my engineer, and then he would send it back to me. He would kind of upgrade it to a level where people could actually listen to it. And then I would email it to my guitar player, and I'd email it to my saxophone player and to my keyboard players. And we started to assemble an album that way. And I realized that all the songs that I was writing, and this was in the summer, were all about the pandemic and the way that I felt about it. And my real answer was that I felt that music was going to help get us through this pandemic. And the most important emotion of all was love. Love would get us through the pandemic. So I put together an album, and it's kind of my first solo album because I do all the vocals on this as well as the music. And here it is. It's called Summer of Love. 2020. And this album is coming out on January 29th on all the various different platforms. It'll be up on Spotify, of course, and it'll be, available on iTunes, etc. But it was my way of still trying to remain creative in the midst of a pandemic and doing something positive that I hoped would help people as well. And I will say that the response so far has been fantastic. So I'm very hopeful about the way this all goes.
Oh my goodness. And that's the perfect title for it. I think with everything that we had going on, I think that is a way to kind of like bring it back to the core and the roots of what we need to do in order for us to get past COVID and to be able to not just survive it, because I think a lot of people, unfortunately, this whole pandemic caught people off guard. It's not anything that we've dealt with before. And so they're kind of trying to survive it. But with that title, and I'm sure oh my goodness, I know that is going to be amazing. I'm getting my copy. And so I just feel like that is going to bring us back to the root of, okay, we don't just need to survive this, we need to thrive. We can actually come out of this okay. We can come out of this even better than what we went in. And that core foundational piece, that cornerstone, is going to have to be love.
Well, that's my theory on the whole thing. And you're right, we're going to get past this. We've got these vaccines now, which are great. People are going to start to take them if they haven't taken them already. We're going to get to a point where this is behind us. And then the question becomes, have we moved forward or are we stagnating? And I believe that you always want to move forward. And so it's important to me. And right now, I'm actually in the process of recording my next album, which is kind of my sequel to The Summer of Love. So for me, it's all about moving forward. And again, I feel so fortunate that I was able to follow my dream. I urge everybody in your audience, think about it. We all have dreams. We may have pushed them aside. We may have forgotten about them. But if you get in touch with your gut, you know exactly what it is that makes you happy, that makes you thrilled, that excites you. And just the act of trying, of going for it, makes all the difference in the world. So that's my mantra these days. Follow your dream.
I love it. Speak Easy podcast listeners, I know you heard that. And all of my creatives that check into the podcast, this episode was specifically for you, because I know a lot of you have been coming up against some hard times. And I follow Robert, follow his journey, listen to the album. If you listen, get it, and then get a copy for a friend.
How are you talking?
Get it and then get a copy for a friend, because one of the things that you ultimately need to know for yourself is that you can make it. You can be successful. I am excited. This episode has been phenomenal, guys. True to self. I absolutely loved every bit of it. This may be one that you're going to have to go back and listen to a few times, because there's some things that you want to add. There's some things that you want to say, you know what, I needed to hear this today so I could go ahead and do my art. Whatever my art is, I can do my art for the world. And so with that being said, Robert, let them know where they'll be able to get the CD again, and also how they can reach out to you or connect with you online.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that I've got a free gift for everybody in your audience. Okay. The CD that I mentioned that we finished just before the world closed down was this CD. It's called East Side Sessions. And this is my full band, Project Grand Slam. I've got a wonderful singer, wonderful musicians in the band. If they go to our store, which is the pgsstore.com, they click on East Side Sessions and enter the code word DREAM at checkout, they get the album for free. And at the same time, they can also take a look at this album, which is a brand new one that's coming out again January 29th, called Summer of Love, and they can get that too. And anybody can reach me either at robert@projectgrandslam.com, robert@projectgrandslam.com, or just go to our website, which is projectgrandslam.com. There's all different ways to contact us, to like us, to listen to our music, to see our merchandise and all of that stuff, and to get a good vibe.
I love it. Speak Easy podcast listeners, make sure that you take advantage of that because I'm going to want to hear your feedback about the albums, guys. You guys know that we go and we have conversations in the hashtag World Voice League community. We would love for you to come over and join us there in the group and let us know how this particular episode resonated with you. And before we leave out, can't stop the music without saying that we appreciate our sponsor, which is Good Living Now, Black Seed Oil. We appreciate them. And if you go to bit.ly/a greater life, you can definitely check out the story of Harold LaFlaw, who is the CEO and founder of the company, who by taking Black Seed Oil was able to go and overcome cancer. So you want to make sure that you go ahead, tap into that story, look at it, and see if that is something that you would be interested in getting. Again, it's bit.ly/a greater life, bit.ly/a greater life. I'm excited, guys, because there would be no Speak Easy podcast without the Speak Easy listeners. And we appreciate each and every one of you that have been checking out the broadcast. I literally just had someone who told me about them checking out one of the introvert podcast episodes. And so shout out to you, Eureka, for checking it out and giving me some feedback. Let's go. We got great things happening. And listen, I am your host, Altovise Pelzer, your voice manager. And until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.